million. When you add this to the fact that we have some very strange people calling the tune, I do not see how we can be blessed. And as I said, what we are doing is actually causing us to be cursed. If we do not want to be cursed in the area of finances, then we shouldn't be charging interest, period. Simple. Listen to what Psalm 15:5 says. He that putteth not out his money to usury, interest, nor taketh reward against the innocent, he that doeth these things shall never be moved. Notice, he that putteth not, he who doesn't do that, nor take reward against the innocent. It's the innocent who are suffering, isn't it? It's the hard-working, diligent people who decided to get out of their beds and get a job and go and work for 30, 40, 50 years. It's like myself, it's my pension that goes down the drain. I'm not worried about it. The eternal God has looked after me all these years, and He'll look after me right through. And that's my message to everybody. That's where your trust needs to be. Not in your gold, but in your God. So what will ultimately happen to those people charging interest? Usury. Proverbs 28:8. He that by usury and unjust gain. It's interesting, isn't it? The Bible is such an incredible book, isn't it? It treats usury and unjust gain in the same breath, because they're the same. He that by usury and unjust gain increaseth his substance, he shall gather it for him that will pity the poor. Yes, you guys go on and do it, because it's eventually going to end up in the hands of genuinely righteous people who will pity the poor. So you can see, you take everything into account. Things can only get worse. I'm not being they like to say I'm a Jeremiah. I'm not. I'm just evaluating and judging the system as it is before my eyes. It is just the inevitable conclusion. Now, if the government, the British government, the United States government, is in debt, and they claim they haven't got money to do basic things, this is what they say. My question is, where is this money going to come from that they're talking about? If they haven't got the money to run the hospitals properly, to run the schools properly, to have enough police on the street properly, and all these sorts of things, okay? Prisons to put the ever-increasing prison population. Something is wrong when you've got a prison population that's so big. And in the United States, it's the biggest population on the planet, much bigger than Russia and China. If we don't have the money, and the US hasn't got the money either, because they're fighting their wars with other people's money. Well, they'll have to borrow it, won't they? They'll have to borrow it from the private Bank of England and the private Federal Reserve. And then they will just create it out of nothing. Literally. Fiat money. Now they don't even have to print it. They can just do it on a computer screen. It happened to me. I went up to the bank some couple of years back and said, you know, I'd just like £100 added to my account, an overdraft. Just in case it goes over by £1, I don't pick up any charges. The guy said, is that all you want? You sure you don't want 2 or 5 or something? No. I said, no, 100 will do fine. He just, okay, Mr. James, you've got your £100, thank you, goodbye. That was it. We will all then have to pay the ever-increasing interest on these gigantic sums forever. If these banks don't already own us, they certainly will. And when we can't pay for the mortgages on our property, oh, they'll take those as well. They are against private property. There mustn't be. The UN is against private property, the EU, the Vatican, everybody is against private property, except the person who owns it. You know, when Daniel said we were ruled by the basis of men, how true, how very true. You know, Queen Elizabeth said that there were dark forces at work. Very true. I wonder how she knew about it, though. What is the purpose of wealth, anyway? Is it for the super rich to buy multiple yachts, every couple of years buy a bigger yacht so you have a stable of yachts, if you can, an armada of yachts, and apartments scattered out in all the exotic parts of the world? Is that what it's about? While there are people who lack the basic necessities like water and bread. See, Exodus 22:25 says, "If thou lend money to any of my people that is poor by thee, thou shalt not be to him as an usurer, neither shalt thou lay upon him usury." Leviticus 25:36, "Take thou no usury of him or increase, but fear thy God." That's the point. Fear thy God, that thy brother may live with thee. Thou shalt not give him thy money upon usury, nor lend him thy victuals for increase. Food. I can tell you the fate of the super rich. Matthew 19:24, "And I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle," and this isn't some gate down in Israel. God is saying, when you love money so much, it's very hard to give it up, to follow my way. That's what he's saying. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God. As I've said before, remember that in a depression, wealth is not lost. It's just transferred. It changes hands. It goes from the poor to the rich. Unbeknown to the super rich, who amass their billions, they need to understand they can't take it with them. And even worse, we are now approaching a time when their gold and silver will be no value to them whatsoever. It will be unable to deliver them. Because if it wasn't that way, then God would be a respecter of persons. It would be better off for the rich than for the poor. Ezekiel 7:19, "They shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity." That puts paid to all these people on the internet and all the churches who are telling us, no, get rid of your money. Have some gold sovereigns and some gold coins and some gold bars. According to this, don't even worry about that. Zephaniah 1:18, "Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath. But the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy, for he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land." Why? Because of our rebellion and rejection of him. You know, the Bible tells us what we should be doing with our wealth. And it is like the exact opposite of what we are doing. I'm going to read some of these things to you now.